Deshaun Watson wants his way out. Now, we're hearing that the Texans don't even want to trade him, but it does not appear that Deshaun wants to play there. What are your thoughts on Deshaun?
All right. So clearly, with everything you've seen from the Texans organization, this is not new, right? We are
Yeah.
not seeing something that just happened. But you had the ultimate Texan, JJ Watt, leave, right? This is the guy that, probably has Texans tattooed on his body and, has fundraised, you know, millions and millions of dollars for the city of Houston because his heart was there. But that team has been uh not right for a while, right? And so to have guys like JJ Watt, to have guys like Z Hop, to have guys like Deshaun basically be done, um, and then have the leadership change over and not have the conversations with the leaders of the locker room of what needs to change, that's what we're seeing right now. And so I'm not surprised that there's a big divide because they never made an effort to mend fences, right? There has been there have been problems there for a while, and we've yet to figure out how to bring it back together. And saying that you're not even going to entertain talks, what good does that do? Right? What does that do for showing the importance of your quarterback? Now, I would love to see if they've reached out to Deshaun and maybe or may not, maybe have or have not been able to see if there is, you know, offense to be mended. But
Mhm.
for Cesario to say he won't even entertain calls, and as we know, like there have supposedly been teams who have called and left messages and not getting any call back or any of that, like what? Right? Like what? And how does that work? Right? Like that's what I go. It's like, but wait, right? Like, um, but if they're gonna keep him there and they're gonna force him to play, um, what I've heard is that he may force it and he may sit out for a year. And then neither are you getting anything for Deshaun, nor will you have a quarterback on the field. So that situation is going to have to break. Either that or you're going to have to see the Texans take a young quarterback in the draft, which also is a really really interesting thing. Can you afford to hold on to that? Or sorry, can you afford to hold on to Deshaun and not have him on the field? Now that's a really expensive proposition.
Yeah. Nick Casario basically came into the most difficult situation in the NFL. He has a very difficult decision on his hands. The Miami Dolphins have been rumored as potentially a landing spot. Carolina Panthers have been rumored. The Jets. Where do you feel if he were to get traded would be the best spot for Deshaun Watson?
If I'm Deshaun Watson and I have the ability to do that, the Dolphins are interesting because obviously they've put a lot of things in place to be a big team,
Yeah.
um, to be a good team. I think that they're close. Um, what team has the draft capital to be able to do it, or the trade value and the cap space to be able to do it?
Miami has the draft capital and a good amount of space, so it does logically make sense. And
Miami would be one
Carolina.
of the top destinations for me because you see what they were able to do with Ryan Fitzpatrick
Yep.
in terms of how close that team got. The only time they really got derailed to me was when they felt the need to go to Tua, which I wouldn't have done. Um, but we're sitting here and saying which teams could afford to make big moves with big quarterbacks. I mean, what if Deshaun Watson ends up in Seattle?
Oh,
Would Russell Wilson go to Houston? Because if I'm Russ, I wouldn't. I would not.
yeah.
I would not want to go to that. But you got to think about which teams would have the big, hey, this could be a 1-for-1. But if I'm Russell Wilson, I'm saying don't send me into that situation either.
Personally, my dream trade would put Deshaun Watson in San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan, and I think we're talking about football magic. That's me personally. While all these other quarterbacks are talking about, I want to be traded, Tom Brady's sitting back with another Super Bowl. He's sitting back here. We've got Chris Godwin on the franchise tag. We brought back Levante David. But now there's rumors that he also wants OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr. Do you buy into these rumors? What would it be like for Beckham and Brady to team up in Tampa Bay?
Um, I think hopefully Brady would be a stabilizing force on Beckham. Um, as he was able to be with AB. Um,
Yeah,
because that leadership and holding somebody to a higher standard, OBJ, you won't be the biggest star on this team.
right.
And that's something that I think you need because the Browns actually got better when they were forced to move the ball around with OBJ being out of the equation and they were able to go to their strength, which was really the run game. But the Browns were relatively one dimensional when it was like the OBJ show. If TB does want, OBJ in TB, then OBJ is going to have to realize it's not all about him, right? You have Gronk, you have, Godwin. Do you still have Antonio Brown? I don't really know. But you have lots of weapons and it's not going to be all about you. And, that would be an interesting kind of stabilizing force. But do the Buccaneers have the dollars to be
I don't know.
bring in OBJ, right? Like, and does it even make sense? Because if it's me, I don't really feel the need to have OBJ. I feel the need to protect Tom Brady. I feel the need to pass rush. I'm looking more to secure Shaquille Barrett than I am to bring in OBJ, who, is up and down. And yes, he is a great receiver, but if you can get AB for the price tag that you got AB, then do you really need OBJ? Because you sure don't want AB and OBJ, right? That's like bad reality television in the making.
Possibly. I think the only real situation it would happen, it would have to do with some way, some form, Chris Godwin leaving. He was franchise tagged, so they currently have him under contract, but we know that the franchise tag can, be maneuvered, be traded, whatever. That would be the only way pretty much
Godwin's
possible.
not going anywhere. Mm-mm. Why would you
And
leave? Why would you leave a Super Bowl team?
right, of
Right?
course.
And one that is primed to do it again if you can keep enough of the pieces in. And they did make a commitment and said we like you by giving him the franchise tag, right? Basically they said we are seriously dating and we're going for a run again, right? We're engaged but we're not married, right? But we're going for a run again and we want you to be a part of that run, right? So if I'm Chris Godwin, I'm not going anywhere because I want to be on that team. I want to be part of going for another Super Bowl, which I believe we can do if we can keep enough people. And they probably had that conversation as well.